sie ike. Nine na-ayọ ike ịgba anyị ume n'ebe niile anyị gosiri. Ebe ndị na-adara agọzi. Na mega na tia n'ebe anyị. Ka nke bụ na mmadụ na mmadụ ije nọ n'onye ọbụla ebe nọ ya n'ọsọsọ aka Chukwu ekwukwala gị. Na nke kachasị nke ife na-eme na be anyị taata nke eji anyị eme ka ọ na-anya bụrụ ọzọ mmadụ na-achọ ka a na-anyị na-ekwekwana ụkwa ka nkata anyị ga-akpata ife ga-abara anyị uru anyị tụta alụ dị iche iche nyere anyị aka mma nyere ụmụ nwa bụ ndị ọrụgoro aka mma na ndị ụlọ anyị na-ayọ ife a n'afọ na nwa na anyị na-ayọkwu ya n'afọ nwa anyị na-abụghị ụmụ Chukwu nso na-ayọfa ka fadonyere anyị eyọtara anyị anyị ịba anyị ekele
Thank you very much. Ndewo, Chief. Honorable Herdsmen, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Technology. You're muted.
Okay. Yeah, technology, we're getting there. Thank you very much, everyone, again. And I would like to welcome everybody. Igbos in Ataoji, we have eaten cola nuts, and our face can now smile. All our discussion today has been handed over to Chukwu Abiyama and our God Almighty. That's organized really well. And some of you got our invites and turned up. Some have been briefed a little bit of what we are, who we are. And I'll just take a minute or two to explain fully once again that this is an association of Igbo Councilors and MPS here in the United Kingdom. And obviously, we decided to take a stand, speak out. The marginalization of Igbo has been an ongoing incident, almost as old as a whole lot of us here, if not older. And it's always been a question of everybody looking at the other person to do something and nobody doing anything. And so we decided to, the euphoria of the Black Lives Matters movement, to also inform people that people's lives also matters, and that we have been experiencing a lot worse than what has been going on around some part of the world. And they get noticed, they get mentioned, and we never do. I will make reference to a proverb in our place where the chicken, we call it, in other words, the chicken who's bred by the kites set up because she expects the whole world to at least hear her voice. So this is our chance to let the world hear our voice, and hopefully, and good. Maybe our prayers will be answered one day. If not this time, next generation, but we'll keep shouting, we'll keep praying until something happens. So that's the main reason why we are here. Nothing else, progress and peace and development of our neighbor. In conjunction with our neighbors, just like our PZ said, to God be the glory. We are a peaceful nation, peaceful people, very industrious. All we mind is our business. So if anybody wants to be peaceful and do business with us, we're more than happy. We are not even cowards as well, so we can always stand our own if pushed to the wall. But we are hoping and praying it will never get to that point. So that's who we are. Basically, we are made up of past and present serving councillors, and hopefully we'll even attract new ones in the future. We have MPs in our midst. It's a work in progress. We've only just started this thing less than a month and 3 days ago. You won't believe this, so you might be surprised. We have loads of Igbo MPs and councillors, Kate and co. But obviously they can't all be here on the first day. Gradually we'll bring them in and we'll keep growing by the grace of God. So I will give a brief chance for members who are here to introduce themselves quickly, say hello to our guests and invited people, and we move on to our speeches. Myself, as I already said, I'm Honorable N.J. Zawanta. I was the councillor here in Bexley, the south of England before. And I've also gone back home in Nigeria to try and my bid to Nigerian politics by contesting for Senate as an aspirant. But obviously, their politics is different from ours, as Baroness Cost will know. So I came back running. So this is me. I'm here. I think I will go around from my screen. I'll try and do it as I see people clockwise and go around. The next person by my right side will be Gloria Opera. She's the main host today. So I'll call her first. She'll give us the house rules and then she'll introduce herself in that same course. And just before she comes, there are no plans for any fire testing today. So if you hear of any fire alarm wherever you are, please use your nearest door. You can go into the other room as far as you're concerned. Nobody will know. So just to get out of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Isabella. It's actually so lovely to see so many faces on my screen. So my name is, if you see me looking away, it's not because I'm not because I'm out meeting people. I'm from Medway, I'm still a councillor. I'm the first Black African woman to be elected to that position in my borough. Twice deputy mayor, nominated to become mayor, but for work and other things I've not been able to do so. In addition to my role as a councillor, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cyber MPS, a company that provides training and services to individuals and businesses in cyber security and IT. So I'm quite busy. I was born in Delta State. I've been married to my husband for 7 years. He's from Imo State, so I guess that I'm more Imo State than Delta. And some would argue otherwise. But so we're blessed with 4 children, 4 grown children and 5 grandchildren. So I'm very, very, very passionate about the topic. During the lockdown, we had in Nigeria, in my hometown, Igbos, we had more people dying from Fulani herdsmen than COVID-19. And you would imagine, having my mom, who is in her 90s, living in the same town as these people are committing these atrocities. I have nothing to do but obviously to get involved and address what is happening in Igbo. I have been involved in the past, obviously lobbying on my own, lobbying the government since 2004, and I'm so grateful that we now have a forum as political leaders from Igbo land to do that together. House rule. Please, if you have any questions, you can either type directly to me in the chat and put your questions, because after our keynote speakers, if you've got any questions, please make sure you either raise your hand or you type out your question directly to me will be better. I would advise that you stay next unless you are told I will be monitoring this as well. And just to let you know that this event is being recorded and being not only the local organization, you can actually turn your camera. Okay, so it would be nice to see everything so Honorable so we bless for children, hopefully children.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Gloria. If you are wondering why she stayed longer than 1 minute, which I told her, she had just given her own speech for the day.
We had in Nigeria, in my home, we had more people dying from
No, especially my one and only Chief Welcome, welcome. I know you're there. I can see you. My name is Kate Anoloe, popularly known as Auntie Kate all over. I'm the mayor of London Borough of Enfield, the only African/Nigerian lady with man that's been a mayor twice in one borough, and that I hold with dignity. I was also a parliamentary candidate in 2015. I'm a mother of 4, widowed, but mother of 4, all of them grown up now. And I've got a law degree. And I worked and served the National Health for 40 years, delivering so many thousands of babies. So we are all professionals, but we're very, very dear to our country. I visit Nigeria often. In fact, the last time I came to Nigeria was in March, where I was nearly locked down, but I wouldn't have minded because again, I'm with my people. So welcome everybody. None.
Because I'm mindful of the time as well, I would call on other members of this group to introduce themselves later on. But let me quickly call on our first speaker today, who's honored us by attending here, even though it was a last-minute invitation, and she's only got to 6 o'clock. So with your permission, please, may I call on the Baroness Caroline Cox of Finsbury, member of the UK House of Lords. She has one or two things to say to us. Welcome, Right Honourable.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. The privilege of being with you. Just to introduce myself in 30 seconds. All I say about myself is I'm actually a nurse and a social scientist by intention. That's what I thought I was doing with my life. And a baroness by astonishment. Wasn't into politics. And I so much not into politics, I was the first baroness I'd ever met. Pick up one morning, find the baroness looking at yourself. Quite a shock, but what a privilege. So I asked God, how do I use the privilege of being able to speak in the British Parliament? And the message came very clearly. It's a wonderful place to be a voice for those who don't have a voice or people who have voices whose voices are not heard. So that's how I use my role in Parliament. I set up my own small charity, not-for-profit, called Humanitarian Aid Relief Trust, or HEART, and we work with people suffering oppression and persecution who are not being reached by other aid or advocacy organizations, either because they don't get permission from the government and they can't go without permission. We do when we need to spend our time crossing borders, but just a little bit illegally, be with the most unreached and the most suffering. And we work with local partners, and they're the real heroes and heroines of their people. Now, if you look at our website, we see the countries we work with, Sudan and South Sudan, and Syria, and Burma, etc. The people who don't hear about. But Nigeria is now top one of our priorities. I've been to a country many, many times. Wherever the trouble was, and that's where we were. So we were up in the northern state, and Boko Haram was carrying out its horror poetry in Kano and so on. And then more recently, Central Belt, and we've been in Dross, we have partners in Dross, and Plateau State, who was there not very long ago, and witnessed the awful atrocities perpetrated by the Fulani. And I feel so passionate about that. I happen to be chair of Parliament of the all-party parliamentary group for freedom of religion and belief. And we have just brought out a report, and I'm happy to send you a copy, anyone who'd like it. It's called Nigeria, Unfolding Genocide, ? Now this concentrates mainly on the Fulani, Islamist Fulani, in Middle Belt. I think they killed like 6 times more than Boko Haram. So it's spoken on that. I haven't checked that figure, but they're regarded as one of the top, we call it that, terrorist organizations in the world, and you and I suffer in common. And it grieves my heart to know that. And actually, I haven't, and I don't think many of us have heard your story. And it's so important we do. As we hear your story, we can tell the British Parliament, we can tell the public, we can tell the churches, we have Christians, and we can make people aware of what you are going to do now on your front line of faith and freedom. So I'm really here to listen, learn, but very briefly, just to point out that we did bring out, before I talk about the report, one of the things that made me really angry as a Briton and member of the British Parliament is the British government has refused to recognise the seriousness of the atrocities and the killings being carried out by the Islamist Fulani. I mean, about 6,000 killings in the last 5 years in the north, but 5,000 in the last 3 years in Middle Belt. And one of the things I always emphasise is not just the killings, it's the atrocities. And just to give you one example, I'm afraid you can probably quote hundreds. But last time I was in Nigeria, I met a young mother, and she has a 6-year-old daughter. The Fulani surrounded their village. She tried to run away. She was surrounded. They slashed her with a machete in her shoulder and neck. I saw the scars. And then they said, your little daughter would like to suck the mother's finger. So they amputated her forefinger. She passed out. When she came round, her little 6-year-old girl was dead next to her with her forefinger, mum's forefinger, in her mouth. Now, the British government say all this kind of conflict is mainly climate change, land use, desertification. Well, I'm sorry, you don't get that kind of atrocity for climate change or competition for land. I've had so many stories of atrocities of people who've had one arm amputated, all the fingers cut off, and the others they can't do anything. You know, people hacked to death with machetes. People lost everything, their loved ones, their livelihoods, their homes, and everything. So I'm really here to listen, to learn, and to help you tell your story. Because we have for that now, thanks to this report, what's been happening to the Islamist Fulani. I know not all Fulani are Islamist, but the Islamist Fulani in the Middle Belt. And if you're suffering from the Fulani, we need to hear your story too, and make the government aware. And finally, I don't know if you've had any help from our Department of International Development. But I asked them if they had helped at all in the Middle Belt, and last time I asked them, they haven't. So there's thousands and thousands of displaced people in the Middle Belt. So we have a lot of work to do with our government to try to get justice for people, to try to get the government to call the perpetrators to account, and provide the protection and the help that I'm sure you need. So I'm here to help you. I'm here to serve you in any way I can.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Right Honorable, for that very precise speech. if it was the time when we are giving chieftaincy titles, which I'm sure we will consider giving you, we will give you one letter number, which is comes to an end or goes back to wherever it came from. We have a friend in you, and you are going to give us a platform to, make our cries heard. Hopefully, get people who are also passionate like you, because laws are made for man, and people like you and others in Parliament.
Final comment, and then we'll stop talking. And that is that we don't have to wait for coronavirus to finish. We can begin to work with members of Parliament, with the British government from tomorrow. So your people are suffering, and I haven't yet heard the details of how your people are suffering. But if we can share the information with your people in the same way we've met some concern, not much help yet, but concern for the people in the middle belt. So at your service, but we don't need to wait.
Thank you. Thank you. May I request that if we have any one or two questions quickly for the Baroness before she takes her leave, we can allow that. Gloria, have you got anyone indicating to speak?
Honorable, can I just suggest that please, sorry, can I suggest that we have our keynote speaker, because it's important that the Baroness hears our story, and rather than we go into questions, we need her to hear a brief about what we have to say before she leaves her seat. We can send questions to her afterwards if it's things we need to feedback. Thank you.
I agree with that. Right, so with your permission, I will call on our Auntie Kate. Briefly, I know you have a speech to make, but because of time, can you introduce our key speaker? And then after that, we will hear your own speech as well, Auntie Kate.
Thank you so much. And can I just say thank you, Baroness? That was very emotional to me. I was at tears filling my eyes listening to you, knowing fully well that someone outside actually know what is happening, a bit of what is happening in some parts of Nigeria. And I just have to say that how lucky could I be? I think I should start to call myself Lucky Kate, because I know that it's always very difficult to get hold of Honorable Chief Nyanwodo. But for some reason, God has buttered my bread so easily that the first time I called, straight to him, answered the phone, and I told him about what we are doing. He said, yes, I'm at your, pleasure, and I thought myself, wow. And even when I ring him at times, just he said, no, is this still happening? I said, yes. So, it's someone who has taken the plight of Igbos into his bone marrow and continue to talk. But as you know, life is being what it is. Not everybody would say that you're saying the right thing or you're doing the right thing. But the most important thing is, what do you want to do? You want to do it. So I would like to introduce Honorable Chief John Nyanwodo, who is the President General of Ohanese and Igbo. Thank you for coming. Thank you for accepting our invitation. I am very honored, and we are very honored. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you, Kate. It's always a pleasure to listen to what the little flattering is about me. And thank you, my brothers and sisters, for taking the initiative to have this discussion. And thank you, Baron, for your time. Thank you for taking the cross on behalf of all of us. Thank you for your continued show of interest in Nigeria and in our part of Nigeria, and for documenting part of our problems even before we have this interface with you. I do hope that in the little while that you spend with us, you will gain a lot more from our exchanges. Now, this will do with the protocol because of time. But I'm delighted to be among you. I am supposed to be talking to World Igbo Congress at 5:30 Nigeria, but I have sent them a text to give me 30 minutes. So I'm hoping that I finish this in time. I'm able to take some questions before I get to them. I'm also talking to Igbos in Canada at midnight tonight. So you can imagine a video I am in sense of steadiness of mind. But I would like to talk to you briefly about three things: our current security and marginalization problems, what I think you can do for us, and our new initiative on an Igbo stabilization fund. Now, many of you are already in constant communication with us for me to go into so much detail about the Holocaust going through not just Igbo, but the whole of Nigeria. Since our current president came to office, he has undisguised a Fulanization program, which has taken various forms. One of the forms is that as patron of Fulani Herdsmen, he has allowed them to harry the farms of Nigeria, Middle Belt, Southern Nigeria, armed with weapons that are not allowed for any civilians to carry, and looting, desecrating our women, driving farmers from their farms, and destroying their crops. In one day, 100 people were buried in a place in Enugu State called Uzuwa. In one day, 100 people were buried in Benue State in Nakop. Villages are decapitated in Kaduna State. And the Global Terrorist Index consider these people the fourth, now I gather that kind of the second most dangerous terrorist organization. And yet, not one of them is before a law court tonight. In our parts, wherever you encounter them, the police is on their side. The army is on their side. They have raped our women, they have killed our farmers, they have kidnapped our religious ministers. They have occupied farmlands without any legal authority to do so. And as if this was not enough, having passed through with this, the federal government of Nigeria, through our president, on a trip to Egypt, in a foreign land, announced to the rest of Africa that every African who wants to come into Nigeria can do so without a visa, and that he will be documented on arrival. Now, it raises a question. We are at war in the northeast of Nigeria, and you are asking that our border be thrown open to any African who wants to come. So any of the ISIS-inspired Boko Haram fighters in the northeast of Nigeria is quite free to remove his uniforms and throw away his arms and come in as a civilian and then go ahead. I hope you are hearing me. Are you hearing me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead and get documented in our national identity card scheme, and then be registered to vote in Nigeria. And a PDP governor of Bauchi State, goes on and tells us that every Fulani man in the world is a Nigerian. He's free to come into Nigeria, belong to any state that he wants, and acquire citizenship. We belong to the economic community of West African states. We have a movement protocol which requires you to have an ECOWAS passport in order to be able to move freely within the sub-region, but doesn't confer citizenship rights on you. Our president, by a mere proclamation in Egypt, has capsized this legislation because the protocol was adopted by the National Assembly as a legislation. Now, throwing away completely the principles of the rule of law. Now, today, it is even backfiring in other countries. A number of these hired ISIS-inspired fighters have settled in the northwest and northeast of Nigeria. In the northwest, they have engaged in illegal mining of gold and mineral, not accounted for in our national revenue, assisted by the Chinese and some Europeans. And they have so much enriched themselves in collaboration with traditional leaders, some political chieftains, that they have now turned against the host communities. And if you listen to news in Nigeria, you'll find recently that in Katsina State, the president's own home state, they now rape their women, they now loot their homes, they now ravage their farms, and the governor of the state has literally thrown up his house. And the president has given a marching orders to the army and said, I'm not happy with what we've been able to do so far. Now it's like repercussion. What they intended for us is also happening to them. Now, all over the South, we have engaged in the building of local vigilante groups. We have taken our own security into our hands. Using my state, Enugu State, as a typology, we have 3 layers of security. We have in each town, each community in Igbo, what you call a local vigilante, which is made up of local young people who do a lot of service 24 hours of the day, who report unusual movements or occupation or assault and do whatever they can to prevent them or to fight back. They also ensure that cows are not used to ravage our farms. We also have, apart from the what we call forest guards. They have been newly recruited in every community here. They are supposed to parade our forests and see that wherever they are grazing cows, they are confined to the areas which local communities have allowed them to graze in, and that they do not stray into other people's farms. And if they do so, these forest guards raise an alarm. The government has tried to build earth roads into those farms in order to make it easy for the police and local vigilantes to patrol those places. Both the forest guards and the local vigilantes have been mobilized with trucks, motorbikes, and some licensed equipment to be able to repel an attack. And the police has helped them to be able to. Now, apart from this siege of there is also in the area the deployment of our natural resources in the development of our country. For instance, we have a lot of substance in of northern to foreign to export rates, the age thing around our industrial area. So our God-given gift, in which at the end of the day, the entire southeastern states do not get up to 10% for the federal level, in spite of the fact that we make a lot more than that. Now, this is because we've inherited a constitutional arrangement in which the treaty we signed with the British upon getting independence was just that. And the military, headed by Fulani soldiers, imposed a constitution on us, which turns our federal character into a unitary system of government, where the federal government controls basically all the resources of the country. So every natural resource in a state becomes property of the federal government. It is distributed in a revenue allocation formula that is entirely unfair to us, because it is weighted against the number of local governments and the number of states that you have. And by the application of this, a lot of our natural resources is being used to develop other areas where we are completely dispossessed. In the circumstance, no southeast states or delta states or river states or perhaps Benue states and Akwa Ibom states who have strong indigenous Igbo populations can really survive on federally distributed revenue without recourse to those. In the circumstance, we are shortchanged. And we have demanded for a return to the constitutional structure on the basis of which we got independence, which was the agreement of all the ethnic groups in Nigeria. And because what we have today is a military-imposed constitution, it does not have the characteristic of the democratic constitution, which in law is called autochthonous. It was not made by them. There was no referendum of plebiscite by which the people owned the constitution. And yet it starts with the sentence, "We the people of Nigeria make this law." It is a big lie. The number of movements in Nigeria are trying to make sure that they pull down this constitution and that they make sure that we revert to the 1963 constitution, which gives us a federal government. It is because this constitution does not exist that the states do not have domestic security that is independent of the federal security. Unlike in the United States of America, where every state has its own state police, even the judiciary has its own police. In the UK, where you have county police and what have you. Now, and they are independent of the various schools or counties that you have. We don't have it. The Commissioner of Police in the local state takes instruction from the General Police in Abuja. And when the instruction counters the instruction of the governor of the state, chief security officer, the instruction of the Inspector General of Police or the President of Nigeria supersedes that of the governor of the state. This is turning or touching upside down. So because of this, they are able to protect the Fulani Herdsmen who rampage southern Nigeria with reckless abandon. Now, I don't need to go into the fact that we are marginalized in terms of infrastructural developments. Many of the highways in Igbo land are impassable, where there are contracts going on for their rehabilitation, as the Igbo or in any for that country, they've been going on since the war ends. And they are reflected in the yearly budgets, but the allocation of funds to the Ministry of Works is just the tip of an iceberg. And so they are unable to finish this roads. And so we remain in this condition. And while I don't know if Baroness has, I often wonder what informs British foreign policy. You will be a lot of economic interests here, which include oil, gas, and public finance, insurance. Now, many of these interests are based on all the wells and the gas wells and southern Nigeria. Now, I do not understand why extant previous British favor or protecting the northern food. One would have thought that given our ability with you in terms of our common remittance beliefs, and the fact that the great majority of Nigerians who live in your country from citizens in Great Britain, there are mayors.
Please bear with us, Chief. Obviously, there are technical difficulties. Trevor will be joining us.
Shall I very briefly answer that question before I have to leave in 2 minutes?
Yes, please.
Is it right, sir?
Yes,
I couldn't hear you. Well, UK do not understand British foreign policy either. Again and again over the years, in sending direct the need for the British government to call the Nigerian government to account, Fulani and the other jihadists with impunity, to provide aid. Again and again, the British government has said, well, as I said before, it is all to do with climate change. So, other friends like Lord Alton of Liverpool and Jim Shannon in the House of Commons, who all said we cannot explain the extent, the scale of the horrors, the killings, the atrocities that have been perpetrated by these numbers of Fulani in terms of those other factors. So it's a kind of review, definitely. Is I hope to get a report cases with the British government as soon as possible. So if whoever's organising so brilliantly this meeting or anyone else here could send us a summary of the numbers, all the kind of attacks, people killed on one day, and killed on another day, no one called to account. We've got seen in the Central Belt, we've seen in the Northeast. Not been on the radar. And it is really extraordinary. With this report, I have to send copies of this report. We have it on waiver because it's signed by very senior members that relation to our national ministry with our government. Could let us know a report, a summary. And I'm sorry I can't hear more of your report, sir. Or about 6 years. Please send it.
Thereafter, it is turned down, and that its effect is disastrous. He told me, look at the soil, it will consume all of us. It allows us to till it as we like. It allows us to generate refugees. But whenever he gets angry, he turns into lava and the volcano. He said, look at water. always quiet and tranquil. When he gets angry, the flood is enough to evacuate a whole community. It is not by making so much noise on the social media. It is not by invading embassies that you show that you are a strong people. That diplomacy has allowed them to reach commanding heights in invisible economies like shipping, like insurance, like banking. There's no transaction in the world that they are ready to look at. And by surreptitiously invading those transactions and taking all the professional jobs associated with it, they enrich themselves even more than the shareholders of the companies in the country. Kedu ka unu ga-esi nọdụ onye mara ibe unu ama amụta ife ji kụziere ụmụnne ọ bụrụ na mmadụ na-ere ntụ were akpata ego n'ọdụ nwayọọ ka ndị nọdụ kagharị maka ndị Juu lere ntụ ejigi ewere mmadụ nwee newspaper na telivishọn sanitize ya their criminality mana onye ego obere ego dị na ogbubie isi ebe mmadụ na-azọ aza ọkwọta ekene eze ebe mmadụ na-azọ omume eju m afọ na kete anọlụ enwe ike ikpokọta ụmụ ncha n'ọdụ na-akpa nkata febanyere maka na ife na-ewute mbụ n'ebe ọbụla nche ndị Igbo nwere ofufe a ga-adịrịrị fakshọn na ndị a na-ekwu onye zụọ elekshọn daa oje bido nke mana ndị ọzọ adịghị eme so ana m ayọ unu nọdụ n'ofu ana m ayọkwazi unu nyere anyị aka n'ebe unu enwe n'ike onye ọbụla malụbe ya ka ọ ga-esinye aka ka ndị na-eche nche aka agba afọ ifefa ji eche nche ghara ịkọnata na afụrụ m na ọ ga-ete aka tupu anyị asụgide oyibo anyị na-asụ nweta ife anyị na-achọ maka na ije ọgụ dị mfe mana onye jere pụta ya mana iji ọnụ wee jee ọgụ were alụ wee jee ọgụ ụfọdụ oge a na-ete aka mana ọ na-eri isi mmadụ maka anyị na-akwadobe ka anyị ga-esi were ọnụ aja ọgụ wee nweta ife anyị na-achọ wee tirie constitutional dị n'obodo anyị wee nwee restructure o nwere ife anyị nwere ike imere onwe anyị Europe ebe unu nọ nwere obodo a na-akpọ Catalonia na Spain fa chọrọ ikwu onwe fa ka anyị nwasị wee chọọ mana ọ gara ọlụkwa parliament obodo fa jụ ndị Spain niile jụrụ ma nke Catalonia kwere fa tụọ otu okweta mana o kwere eme ndị Bayern na Germany n'okpuru ife dị etu a mana fa leziri anya tụgharịa alụ wee sị ka fa bụrụ ozi akụ na ụba dị n'obodo fa o nwere ife ndị be anyị na-enwere ike imecha ọkwa anyị bụ ndị izizi rụrụ Iron and Steel Complex na Nigeria ọ bụrụ ọkpara anyị bụ ndị izizi nwere cement factory as a state investment in Nigeria ọkwa anyị bụ ndị izizi mebere efere nkụwa na-ekwu ọkwa anyị bụ ndị Igbo ọrụrụ buru nri na Nigeria ebe Golden Guinea ọkwa anyị bụ ndị izizi mebere Niger gas n'elu ọkwa anyị bụ ndị izizi nụ ranch n'ebe nnọọ Obudu cattle ranch efi muturu cow our own species wee na-eburu ife dị egwu nwee ugbo na-asọ ụsọ ọkwa anyị bụ ndị mmerụ gari 25 shillings ekọ maka ọkpara mere farm settlement ebe ọbụla akpụ ejegwa ọkịnị megide ife nke anyị ọkwa anyị bụ ndị megidere akwụ rụọla anyị university rụọla anyị ụzọ rụọla anyị ife dị iche iche bụ ife ndị a na biko anyị si ka anyị bido ala Igbo Stabilization Fund oge nyere anyị big notice n'ugwu Hausa mụ na ndị be anyị na-achị n'ugwu Hausa na-enwe nzukọ a na-eji night bus abịabe kwabịa n'ụtụtụ we hold a meeting and we decided that we should do a census of ndị be anyị nọ n'ugwu Hausa ife ndị asụkarị ndị Igbo ka ndị ọzọ nọ na social media na stream live ghara na So India, where's if I go back in the culture and go outside? That you don't even know what to do on a regular parochial organization. You have a town unions and so on. But where's here about with even and the apprentice, not the driver, not the driver, and so on. With the line 12.6 million people on the house. Okay, before you have been able to give us a little mind. Now we learn on Makana, no one called the city, a woman divine on the browser. So, Kai will allow so, well, open only go upon when you took it. Now, 200 naira. Now, legal stabilization fund. About it, openly that should be any money or be converted into a shareholding for you. So that the stabilization fund can invest in infrastructure, they can invest in agriculture using the private sector as a vehicle to do so. I'm sorry, I've exceeded my time.
Sorry, sir. It's just so that you also get way paid to get you and this thing. I hear other speakers that are participating, but he made so much sense, and you know, I wish that Naima all these things the carry plan of the conference, but people are not having the open on.
What the no.
All the master, but I think I'll be actually back to you because
honorable and the go by 6:30 so that I can talk to the people waiting for me in America.
Okay. Honorable and please.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I'm back on screen again. So, thank you so much, Chief Niawod, our President General, Honest and Igbo. I can that insight because anti-Kates, each of Nipu before you introduce Chief Niawod. So briefly, become a time now, so we can be conscious of it. Over 3 minutes, because everybody want any question to ask. Can I respectfully ask that you send them by text so that our chief host now collect and then we see where we get with pitches and then throw your question. Thank you.
Yeah, Honorable Andy, I think I have my call to go down because what if the king were keynote speaker and the Indian mother Kapa where you are to people. So just depend get any mail with that I am giving no and I'm don't more to say. But more I choro I know one of one and Bembelo I am a bundi see wow so we balos on that and I'm a more penny then I'm well and I have a fanchani in a group when another. Yeah, but yeah, that first war method now make it make you look like that. So if you get me, we can rap again and come. I need pussy fendi also. Makakai when you do actually go away for the week go when you can wait to only say people. Oh, thank you.
Okay. All right, that was all. All right. While Gloria collects people challenge judges, let me call on one other speaker. Dr. Comfort Hero. Dr. Comfort works for an NGO called the Crisis Group, and most of the work they do is in Africa and all other areas of the world where there is conflict and things. She's lived in Nigeria. She's currently the African director of the program for Crisis Group. So she knows more about this Boko Haram, Fulani Herdsmen, terrorization, and all. She's going to give us a holistic idea of what international groups can do and what they have also done in that area. Welcome, Dr. Comfort Hero.
I was just wondering, how will I get because obviously I get for questions.
Okay. All right. How many questions can we take? 1 or 2?
Yeah, we could do about 3 quick ones. I think the first one, Akaya no up, Councilor any.
Okay. Go ahead. Comfort, sorry. Let's take one or two questions briefly for APG and then we'll call you.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear the question.
All right. Councillor Eni, please.
If you could unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you, Chief, and I always enjoy your speeches. My question is, I understand that the vigilante group in Enugu State is, working fine. Do we have any plan to extend it to other Igbo towns and villages and states? And how is other state governors in Igbo land? How are they supporting Ohanese and Igbo in their activities? Thank you.
Yes, quickly. Every state has got its own vigilante group. Anambra has, of course, Shampo. They have different names in the various states. Ebonyi has one, too. And all of them agreed to have forest guards. But Enugu has implemented its own better than the others so far. Anambra has done so well with regard to digitalization of information gathering. I mean, from Government House, you can literally look at every major road in Anambra, every border in Anambra. And after the last meeting of Southeast government, the governor announced to us he was going to extend it to the farms so that he could have a pictorial view just by pressing a button in his office about what is happening anywhere. He also has drones, that fly around the state. He's the most technologically savvy. He has helicopters that also fly around Anambra State. So it's not to place Enugu on top of the other. They are all doing the best they can according to their means. But Ushuana buying, and yeah, they meant automatically fine and they can go there. Mana, una for different men and ndị agbata obi anyị gbasa ụdị a na-eme n'ebe anyị kwadoro nche mana mberede enyi ike and onye ji na ya na-eme ife nwere ife karịrị nke ogenye nso amara mma ma aza gị ife etu.
Yes, many thanks.
Thank you very much. I think I have another councillor, Anyanwu Don.
Okay, I do for
Is that Councillor Don Anyanwu?
Yeah, Councillor Donatus Anyanwu. Yeah. Thank you, Chief. Other map he could amashla amonyo word. So I can so word. Chief, I am traditional unity of Igbo politicians. I'm one of those who grew up a child of war, and I'm a unity there. Now, from Mbakwe to various other of our leaders, I need to unite. It might be Nigeria every year, but politics in the Igbo now, they're very divided. That amen the ebe awosan and then abajimani. Problem I when the case what omani. Elect DJ Marasha I give may a unity are stronger than it is now. So can you tell me how we can help to build that unity? I'm prepared for some of us here to come in and see how we can assist to make sure we are new Otibo.
Thank you, Dona. Keys is Dona. What do you want to Dona? It is ways why each. It is ways of the kids. Okay, get out. A buying a dow na village. Landing on a township go free thing. The Malcolm in Valley Muna, my father's driver, the junior brother, only have a classmate. But my father was a parliamentarian. Number two, politics anyway, politics anyway. oge ahụ politics bụ ndị chọrọ idozi obodo zik na ọkpara kita political party dịka limited liability company owned by some shareholders. Then if any APC now, can you imagine Napoli meets the National Executive Party office president and the executive council general destroying the neutrality of the government? Can it happen that the Conservative Party holds a meeting in Downing Street? Can you imagine? Now, in politics, half of them can even get out of here, not can even mail in the buying. If we look at well economic muscle, well public exposure, international exposure, uno ga-anata n'ụlọ tinye interest n'ife na-eme. Mmadụ n'ụlọ kedu onye nọ na town union, kedu ife fa na-eme, kedu onye bụ councilor anyị, kedu ka o si eme, kedu onye bụ local government chairman, na n'ezizi nwetara na budget, kedu ife ijiri eme. Ejezi ime election ọzọ na-anọta wepụta onye bụ mmadụ ga-agbanwu n'ife na-emenụ, uche ya dị n'ife na-emenụ. Una the show moderator anyị kwuru na ya jere izu election techara nata na anyị afụgo prosi amaghị m ife mmeri elu maka na achọrọ onye maara ife akụpụ ya na akụ maka na ọ ga-afụkọta ebe nwanyị. So I ga-improve the quality of representation. Ọ bụrụ na anyị improve the quality of service delivery will always remain low and we will always be disappointed.
Thank you. We will take 2 questions, Vico, for time factor. I think I have Adabuz, she's had her hand up for so long. So if you can quickly and briefly ask your questions, and then we take one last one. Thank you.
The boy when you say Chief Nyawodo, who I see very much like a father, who has been a father figure to me. I can then go easy for bringing out your time from your busy schedule to be part of Hindi Bonamaba. Neck and upon the council line, they will put a logi, what on of gloves. Minyalaka, and Ndi Wakanaba. Where Bulu. Ajụjụ nwere ekwulu okwu stabilization fund ndị mmadụ anaghị ajụ anyị kedu ebe a ga-etinye ya bụ stabilization fund a ga-akwụnye ya n'ebe kedu ka akaụntụ ga-esi wee dịle ọ bụ a group na handle ya ọ bụ obodo na handle ya so m chọrọ ka iwere ohere a wee kọwara anyị nwa bụ ndị na-ebe a maka ama m na ndị na-ebe a ka bụ leaders of different organizations and communities as well, community workers. How we key will look at Akuka when I learn the buying Abraham. For Waluhana stabilization fund again, Yalanyaka, Ibuna, we will on the buying on Naka. Oyancho, Egypt, Kewolo Hera, a buy food, life and direct. Keko Yakusi no non so. When you're Mali here, you GM, when you're Mali, the
stabilization fund remains as an idea as I speak to you. I have taken that idea to the Southeast Governors Forum and they have approved it in principle. I have now shown it to Igbos at large. I have constituted a committee. And by the way, Queen, I want to thank you and remember for the wonderful work you have done for in UK. Nana has given me a recommendation of 2 people from UK who are serving on the governance structure committee. And these people, by the time they start work next week, will be able to answer your questions. And we have people from the United States, we have people from China, we have people from South Africa, we have people from all over Nigeria. The chairman of that committee is Professor Osita Ogu. Professor Osita Ogu used to work for the United Nations. And he was attracted from the United Nations by Ambassador to serve as Special Advisor on National Planning. And then later elevated to Minister of National Planning. Right now, he's professor of development planning in University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. And we have sought him to help us with this. And the secretary is Annie Mude. He's one of those who started these lectures that we hold in Enugu Sports Club about reviving our Igbo cultural ideas and so on. And very soon, they will be publicly calling for your memorandum. The idea is that we don't just throw a stabilization fund at our people without the people from all spheres of Igbo societies coming to study it. What do we do with it? Do we begin to administer the money without use of the private sector and without use of the existing paraphernalia for investment? If you decide to give it to government, it will go through corruption, it will go through bureaucracy. So we intend to finance private institutions. That's the idea. To build industries, to build roads, infrastructure, to build seaports, to increase our energy capacities, so that we can create a Catalonia in our place, we can create a China in our place, we can create a Bayern in our place. So you know that all the ideas that sell money today are in private sector. The other day I was explaining how Netherlands has become the highest exporter of food in the world just by using greenhouses to grow vegetables. So it exports vegetable and dairy $100 billion a year, more than we can ever export in our oil. So if we turn all the farmland of Igbo land into food production, you know we don't have food security. And part of our security problem is because we are so dependent on food in modern Nigeria. And so every day they are bringing trucks of food here. But at the same time, infiltrating us with their people and their religion. The tomatoes we eat here is from northern Nigeria. The cucumber, the cabbage, the carrots, the onions, the goats, the guinea fowl, the chicken, the yams. You know, yams are from Middle Belt. You know, and even Opa, that is a Wawa food where I come from, is grown in the north now. And we buy it from the north. How can you really not have food security? And you want to have security? This stabilization fund will attack those places with relative productivity. Abakaliki can give us a lot of yam, a lot of rice. So can Northern Anambra give us a lot of rice and stuff like that. Our fisheries can be developed from all our rivers and so on. And so, you know, unless we develop the potentials for this and attract foreign investment, who will partner with local people to develop these areas of latent development. We can't just be traders selling things that are produced in other parts of the world. Let the world come here. That's the important stuff.
Okay, sir. Oh, thank you very much, Chief. I don't know if we have time for another question. I just had one from a member of the Imo State House of Assembly, which I think touches the issue of Fulani Herdsmen. Actually, Mausi, are you aware, or are we aware that the failed water resources bill, which Buhari failed to pass during Buhari's time, and the Saraki?
If I ask you the ban of the ban it, you know, about that, and the man, again, my kind, if I was out of the leadership for it. So, when they are in one of the other, they are one now. I am the one I got now. I ain't on no food. I'm beginning in my tea. You are in a family. I'm not having my neighbor. I'm far from now. Probably far away with a tap that stop.
Okay. Because
the bonus is going to understand that I'm going to get America. Balloon. because
This is a development from.
Any other messages and questions, we can send them later on. This general who has kindly
because the next speaker who has a lot of documentation on if I get to a couple of details, I'll be very, very grateful.
Yes. Well, let me call on Dr. Comfort Hero, please. Sorry
Thank you.
for the time. And also, before she comes on board, I'm looking at the time. I hope you would not mind. I know we promised to stick to time. But the conversation is getting sweeter. So when guys you know 7, we go off. Let's push it a bit further. And that's a good permission from the hosting powers. The one. Comfort Hero, please, if you can take the phone.
Thank you very much, Honourable MPS, for inviting me to take part in today's conversation. And I really don't have much more to add after the chief laid out very well and very articulately all the key issues that need to be tackled, particularly in relation to the question of the herdsmen and the violence that we've been seeing in Nigeria for the last, more so for the last few years. But I will try and sort of provide some ideas of what we've been thinking about in our organisation. As you said, Andy. Sorry? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Let me start by saying a little bit about what Crisis Group is about. We were founded 25 years ago, so this is our 25th anniversary. By a group of former parliamentarians, philanthropists, humanitarians, journalists, human rights activists in Europe and North America. In the midst of the Rwandan genocide, in the language of never again, we're also founded in the context of the collapse of the former Yugoslavia, and as well as the civil war in Syria and Somalia. And so our organization was created to seek out solutions, never to say there was never a political will in trying to find a pathway out of crisis. Our organization is based in Brussels, a great independent organization, and our work is to prevent wars, to shape policies that will build a more peaceful response to crisis as well. In terms of Nigeria, as Andy said, I work with the Africa program of Crisis Group. There are 5 regional programs in the Africa program. I don't say it proudly, it's the largest of our programs for obvious reasons, given the number of conflicts that we have to deal with there. Specifically on Nigeria, we've been working on Nigeria since 2004. We started on the Niger Delta question. We followed a number of elections as well. And more in the last 5 years, we've been focusing on the northeast, Boko Haram insurgency, into the Lake Chad Basin. And then more recently, a week and a half ago, we produced a report that the deteriorating situation in the northwest of Nigeria. And since 2017, we've written 3 reports on the question of the herd-farmer crisis as well. This is really a good time, Andy, in which to have this meeting. For example, a week and a half ago, just as soon as we launched our report, we were called into a meeting by a number of people around the presidency, and they gave us a very bleak and very stark warning that the current strategy to deal with the multiple security crises that are happening in the country, whether it's in the northeast, the northwest, the middle belt, and now the southeast, that the strategy is not working, and that the presidency surrounds itself with military men, and that the only solution that is put on the table by the presidency tends to be a militarized approach. And the message that came out from the meeting that we had was that the military approach is a flawed one by design. That even the joint cell, the command and control cell itself is weak, is problematic, it's flawed, it's divided in its own strategy. That the military approach is impeding any efforts of humanitarian work in the northeast, in the middle belt, in the northwest, as well, and that the IDP camps, particularly those in the northwest, are becoming a concern that they could become more increasingly radicalized, and that partly because of the militarization of these IDP camps, you're seeing now a lot of tension around these camps as well. So a number of people have approached us, about how to respond to this. And Baroness Cox's All Parliamentary Group on Nigeria, we've responded to that call. Her report does cite crisis groups' work, and although she suggests that the climate change and desertification is not an issue, it is part of the multi-layered complexities behind the herder farmer crisis that we're seeing in Nigeria today. So although she says that doesn't itself explain the crisis, it's one of the factors, and I don't think we can dismiss it. I mean, when I look at in terms of our own findings, if you're asking me how to explain the violence between the herder and farmers, what is often sometimes called the crisis of pastoralism, it's an issue now that not only just spans Nigeria, northern Nigeria, but it's also a crisis now that faces West Africa and also the Sahel, and it's a crisis that's going right down to the east of East of Africa as well, and into Chad, and also into Central African Republic as well. So for us, we see at least three or four factors behind this crisis. One, I have to say, is the drought and desertification. We can't dismiss it, which have degraded pasture, dried up many natural water resources across Nigeria's Sahelian belt, and it's forced a number of herders to migrate south in search of grassland and water for their herds. The second one, which is critical, yes, is the insecurity in many northern states, partly as a consequence of the Boko Haram insurgency in the northwest, and increasingly the less well-reported rural banditry and the cattle rustling that we're seeing in the northwest of the country, and also the north-central zones of the country, increasingly forcing large numbers of herdsmen to migrate south. I think a third factor, Andy, that's worth recognizing is the growth of human settlements, expansion of public infrastructure, and acquisition of land, particularly land by large-scale farmers and other private and commercial interests that have eaten away at some of the grazing reserves, which the post-independent governments of former the northern region have designated for livestock grazing. A fourth factor, which I think is at the heart of the matter for this particular call, is that the crisis has acquired an ethnic and religious ramifications, particularly across the Middle Belt and into the South. The influx of Fulani herdsmen is widely feared to be at best what we would characterize as a precursor to forceful seizure of lands from farming communities, or worse still, an advanced party of future jihadists. This is a real perception by many people on the ground. And so we certainly recognize and very much empathetic to the concern that there is a wider grand plan of Fulanization or Islamization, as the chief called it in his own presentation. We certainly use that language in our report as well. And I would add to that one of the things that we have recognized, Andy, is that the situation has been aggravated by some of President Buhari's own actions or inactions over the last 5 years. In particular, I would say his initial long silence on the herder-farmer violence has created an impression that he himself is complicit in a number of those herder attacks on farming communities. So that's one impression that I think has aggravated a number of people. The other issue that has aggravated and given a perception of this Fulanization or this Islamization has been the lopsided appointments that has been made by the presidency, placing virtually the country's, for example, the country's entire security system under the Northerners. So, for example, the National Security Advisor, the Minister of Defense and of Police Affairs, the heads of the Army, Air Force, you name them, National
security and the civil defense forces as well. So all these appointments, in our own view, have deepened suspicions of an agenda to emasculate the South, especially the Southeast, while herders violently dispossess farmers of their lands, and indeed even some northern leaders themselves. Most recently, I would argue, the former military governor of Kaduna State, the retired Colonel Abubakar Umar himself, has publicly come out to criticize the president and to express his concerns about some of these lopsided appointments as well. So, I mean, thank you for inviting me to the meeting, Andy, because one of the things I would appreciate from this group that will certainly help in our own analysis is if you could sort of shed light on if the southward migration of herders and the incidents of violence, if you see them as being motivated by considerations of ethnic or religious domination. It's one of the things that we're trying to understand in our analysis. I take seriously the concerns of potential genocide, and I think the chief referred to Holocaust in Nigeria. For example, in the Northwest alone, the continuing violence involving herders, farming communities has resulted in 8,000 lives between 2011 and 2019. It's quite a dramatic number. 200,000 people have been displaced, particularly into neighboring Niger. And also, what should be worrying to this group on this call, is that we are receiving even more information now that not only is Boko Haram connecting to the violence in the northwest of the country, we are also seeing jihadi groups in the region from the Sahel seeking to connect themselves to the Islamic State for West Africa province, and also trying to take advantage of the crisis in the northwest as well. Andy, if you can just give me a few more minutes, just in terms of the way forward, and I know Dr. Udola will certainly be talking about that as well. But a number of the questions that were raised in the chat, I wanted to sort of quickly respond to those, and also to some of the things that the chief said in his own response. There's been a lot of emphasis on the call on using vigilantes and forest guards. The one thing we would say is that we would caution against the use of vigilantes and the use of forest guards. One of the things that we've observed in the northeast is that and also we've observed it in Burkina Faso as well, is that we're seeing if they're not properly controlled, if they're not probably under a proper command and control, we have seen increased violations and human rights abuses against civilians and an indiscriminate use of force as well, and a sort of a mob mentality. That's my only caution against the use of vigilantes. Not that they can't be used, but I think we have to be careful about how they sit alongside the formal army as well. I think the other issue that I would like to put on the table, and one of your participants raised it, is there a way to transform livestock production and management in the southeast in a manner that would reduce migration and open grazing, particularly by encouraging private and public-private investment in ranching? And that's an important question I think this group should begin to explore. I think another question that this group should begin to explore is your own sort of perception, your own understanding about the government's national livestock transformation plan that came out last year. It's supposed to span 10 years. It includes promises that the federal government will provide 80% funding in support of any livestock development plans presented by the state government. So the question is whether that has been explored within the southeast as well. Another idea that I wanted to ask the team, or get the group to consider, developing ranches in the region will not only reduce the demand, for example, for beef and an associated influx of herders from the north elsewhere, but it could also have a positive effect on the economy. So is that something that we can consider in the group?
given the concerns, and this is my final words, and given the concerns around the movement of cattle southwards, have the governors themselves in the southeast looked at the National Transformation Plan to see whether it offers a way out to address the movement of cattle as well? And what does the southeast think itself about the plan? Has there been any scrutiny? And also, just to let you know that only 3 states so far have opted in the middle belt to begin to implement the plan. If the southeast is keen to limit the herder migration, one of the things it could do is to begin to get the federal government to hold to account, especially the northern states, who are not exactly in favor of this plan, because one of the things that it challenges is their nomadic lifestyle. The plan, when it's put into full management, it insists on a more sedentary approach towards cattle and farmer and livestock management, and it also insists on a sort of livestock management across all the states as well. So I just wanted to raise those issues and just put those issues on the table for your consideration among members of your team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. That is Dr. Comfort Bureau. Please, no, we are all muted. We can still clap and she'll see us. Thank you, Comfort. Thank you.
Thank you, Comfort.
Because of time factor,
Comfort.
yeah, we would get back to her on some of the questions she asked of the group. Although I do notice someone asked a question about the report. He said your group did a report on the south, northeast, northwest. And they wanted to know if there's been any sort of report as well done on the actions of the Fulani herdsmen down the south, southeast, south, by any chance.
Hi, Andy. Hi, I was just about to, I was going to upload the reports that we've done so far. And one of the reasons why I wanted to come onto the call was to hear from the group themselves what are the sort of the key salient issues that we needed to explore as an organization in terms of now looking at the issue in the southeast. As I said, we've worked on the issue of the Niger Delta, on the Middle Belt, increasingly on the Boko Haram insurgency into the Lake Chad Basin, and also in northwest Nigeria. And one of the reasons why one of the reasons I accepted your invitation, Andy, was to also understand how this was playing out in the southeast to inform our own research going forward. So thank you very much for inviting me. And just to explain, Andy, our organization works on the strict understanding of confidentiality. So anything that is said to me, we keep confidential. The only people that we quote in our report are heads of governments, so President Buhari and people like that.
Okay.
That stays confidential. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's very comforting. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. And the kids.
Yeah, just a quick one for Comfort. Obviously, Comfort is because it's been happening in the south, and literally everybody is yelling at home and screaming, and nobody probably, have really brought it out to the media like we've done today. So, definitely we would, no need asking you whether you work there, because I'm sure nobody's approached you before, but I think we will come back to you later, because it's very, very important for us, for you to know that actually something is happening there, something serious.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, I'll upload the reports I was referring to on this chat, and then you can see the kind of work that we do.
Thank you. That'll be lovely.
Thank you.
That'll be fine. Thank you. So we move on quickly. Looks like we are pushing at 7. Next on the line of speakers is Dr. Ezugala. Are you still with us? Hello?
Yes, I'm still with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
I'm going to be very, very brief. I didn't know that the Baroness is going to be with us because a lot of what I was going to talk about before is actually work that her all-party parliamentary group did. and also Comfort has also talked about some of the stuff I was going to talk about going forward. But nevertheless, just some very brief comments about possible ways forward. There's no shortage of evidence from Nigerian civil society, international observers, of the absolute terror that these Fulani militants are objecting Nigerians to. No one doubts, even, that the Nigerian government is doing very little, it appears, to stop these militants. So the challenge for us is to amplify our voice, to find allies, NGOs, state actors. Allies need to encourage, we can encourage them to bring forward such evidence as they've got on all possible media platforms. This can focus and encourage our Nigerian government to act. I'm going to mention a few possibilities, and you can extend it from the idea. So there is one of the NGOs I'm going to mention. We already know of one, of course, and that's the International Crisis Group that Comfort works for. The Baroness mentioned another one that she's intimately associated with. But one of the NGOs I'm going to mention is the Jubilee Campaign. And then there's International Christian Concern. And then there's the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria. And then, of course, there's the UK All-Party Parliamentary Group. If you look at, for example, and I'm talking about these people in terms of their being allies, that means, I'm going to say some of what I would have said in the summary as I'm going through. That means that we have to be conscious all the time thinking, how can this person be an ally? How can this person be an ally? It may not be part of our normal DNA to be disciplined. In order to get where we want to get, we have to be incredibly disciplined. We have to look for allies everywhere. So, for example, the Jubilee Campaign, they did a report in July of 2019. They talk about the fact, so you're not going to need to convince them that the scale and severity of the Fulani militant attack against the Christian community, they feel that this has reached the level of a genocide, and they've actually submitted a report by the International Criminal Court. So they've gone as far as taking this to the ICC. They point out the fact that over that 6 months in July 2019, there were 52 Fulani militant attacks in that 6-month period. 52 that they documented. Our government tells us that it's farmer-herder clashes. Think about it. 2 per week. Farmer-herder clashes. And as Comfort pointed out, that thing of, well, what are you doing about it? It can't be that hard to see what's going on if there are 2 happening per week. That's a huge number. That's number one. Thinking again still about the Jubilee Campaign, it's important. We have to keep focusing our eyes on international actors. We are able to persuade, there are lots of friends out there, we're able to persuade them. We have to be disciplined. We have to act boldly, bring the evidence forward, and eventually there will be such an overwhelming body of evidence. I'm grateful to the Jubilee Campaign that they were willing to approach the ICC, and because to do that, they had to do a lot of disciplined work in order to be able to place that in front of the ICC and for the ICC to be prepared to accept that. That's a great piece, and we have to see what partnerships can we create in order to be able to help advance what it is that we're trying to do. Remember this, the Jubilee Campaign reminds us that Nigeria is a member of the Rome Statute, okay? Not only that, Nigeria has been under investigation for nearly 10 years. Other organizations have also brought Nigeria in front of the ICC. It's not even necessarily how fast the process that is. We need to be thinking in terms of forming strong allies. Allies that would be able to help us advance the message that we're sending from multiple different directions. Even if you go back to July 2019, Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president, even wrote an open letter to Buhari, our current president, asking him to create an open forum to address these insecurities that are plaguing Nigeria. It doesn't matter what you think about that. The point is, it's another piece. It's another piece. We're looking for everyone that we can to be an ally. Let's move on to the Human Rights Writers Association in Nigeria. 9th of March, just this year, they pointed out that the armed Fulani militias, they've effectively declared war on Nigeria, and Huriwa, that's the Writers Association, basically said to the government, we are also planning to join that list of people who are going to take you to the ICC if you don't do anything about this plague that is infecting our country. We expect that it's your duty as the government to look after everyone in Nigeria. I was going to say a lot more about another possible ally, which is the Baroness herself and her all-party parliamentary group, but she's already spoken for herself, so I can withdraw from that a lot. But what is useful, what is very useful, and I will share the links and the resources with Andy, what is very useful is the resources that you get attached to the report, because it talks about the press coverage that there has been about this report. And as you said, it's not always the case that for a subject like this, it's not something that's terribly sexy for newspapers to pick up. It's just another African country. But actually, in this case, there's a huge amount of press interest. It's important for us to understand what the press, as Chief Modi was saying, in this country, outside of Nigeria, in other words, what the press is saying, because what that can do is also give us another inclination of who could be another possible ally. All the time we're thinking of allies. This is not something we want to engage in just by ourselves, because everybody who can be a friend, everybody who understands the attack on human rights that's going on here for the Igbo people will want to be able to assist. We need to identify those people and find out how we can partner with them. We need to be able to be active, and I'm sure this is something that we're thinking about as well, to have a consistent and specific voice that doesn't become shrill, a voice that everyone knows that they can trust. And once that happens, we're able to start using many of these social media platforms. People will then know that when this is said by this organization, and as Comfort has just reached out to you, the Baroness has just reached out to us, people just want to know that we can be trustworthy to be able to give the accurate information about what's happening about this. And they're also going to want to know, how can we assist? So my message about how we go forwards, we need to be disciplined in our approach in identifying allies. Already there are many out there who didn't wait for us, who were already so shocked by what was going on in Nigeria that by themselves, they went off and did all the work, which is not cheap, to take Nigeria to the ICC. Many people have done that. We need to identify them, find how to partner with them, give them that extra piece of information they feel they might be missing, because they're not as intimately connected to Nigeria as those of us sitting around this table are. We need those bits of evidence. Yeah, those people are also very much more capable than us in many respects, because they know how the arguments need to be made. They know what steps need to be taken. They know whose doors need to be knocked on in order that our message can arrive at the proper place in order to have the maximum amount of impact. And so 3 things, last things. It's the fact that it needs to be highlighted. It needs to be a measured approach. People need to learn that they can trust our voice, whether you're making it known at your local level, at your local council level, do that. Whether you're making it known because you have the opportunity at your national parliament level, do that. Whether it's because you have contacts that allow you to be able to do it at an international level, do that. Allies, and be able to articulate what we need at every level, using every means possible. Thank you very much.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That was a wonderful speech. You must agree.
Yeah, very complimentary.
Okay.
People, Don't, yeah. Honorable, please don't forget that we've got members of ICSN in the midst there, in our young people.
Yeah, I'm going down the list. I think I've got Councillor Lady Caroline Carlo to speak now for a minute or two. Councillor Caroline, have you got something to say?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Well, just briefly to introduce myself, I'm Councillor Lady Caroline Carlo from Lewisham Borough. I've been a councillor since 2018. I've been in Lewisham for almost 32 years, and I have 4 children. I'm a professional teacher and also a caterer. Now I'm part-time politician. Well, just in a nutshell, as Honorable Chief Node have already mentioned everything. Our security is very, very important. For us to achieve security, we need to unite. There's no unity. That unity is very, very important. And being too greedy with our leaders is also what is making us behind. Some of our leaders, because there's no unity, they are taking money from one side, bringing in the Fulani. Why? The other one is tightening up. But then the loophole is coming from the person receiving money. So if we have to work together, talking to our governors, our agents, the more we need to communicate. That's my own piece of advice. And that unit, if we don't get it, we are going nowhere. We don't have no arms at all. So whether we have vigilante or vigilante, being home, they have vigilante, but there's nothing. They got no gun. All these herdsmen have got AK-47, and they are killing our women and men, raping them, even kids. So we need
to tell you exactly what we are doing. And so we'll carry on. I'm not going to take a lot of your time because I'll come back again at the end to give a vote of thanks and bring together everything that has been said. So thank you everyone for coming out to this call. This is our first step. We want to make a change, and we believe that coming today to speak will indeed bring that change for our people that are dear to us back home, the Igbo people. And so we say that Igbo lives matter. Thank you once again, and I'll see you towards the end of the event. Relax and enjoy this event. Handing over back to Honorable.
Thank you very much, Councillor Neka. Auntie Kate, do you have names of the ICN representatives? Why we call on Councillor Favor to 1 or 2 minutes, please?
Yeah, I should have Chimi Ezigbo.
Okay, I will call him next. He will be the next speaker after Councillor
and Emeka Ibono from ICS.
Okay, you two gentlemen, just get ready for me in the next 2 minutes. You, one of you will take a stand, please. Councillor Ezifede.
Councilor Favor Ezifede. I'm on Imo State, Eastern and Olu local government. Or is it also local government now? I've been a councillor in Watford. I was first elected in 2015 as the first African councillor in Watford. But now I'm also the deputy Labour group leader. As well as being a councillor, I also work for the NHS. I'm a manager in NHS. I work in Children's Mental Health Service. And I'm also a guest lecturer for Brunel University in London. I also sit on mental health, NHS England Equality Task Force. So I'm a mother of a beautiful girl. So I gotta waste time my further. I need time can the guest speakers I try in I would have back on that one, the woman, where Chigari opening, where has there, where Mara Tigers, where deal with behind our court today. So, down on the beacon for even the work it up, can I pronounce 7 and I got to go. Just near you better get I round up this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ezifede. And at the heart of what this ICM UK group started is our youths. Because all this thing I know to leave a good legacy for the ones coming behind us. Of 4 years, they have a lot of Christmases. I think I can already. But these young gentlemen and ladies are the ones who will continue this fight if we can get it this time. So ICSM is a vibrant.
Now, if we can just bring some link with the young people later. Yes. So there are speakers who've been waiting to come on board. If you don't mind, if I could call on Professor Akujeze, is it here still? They've been here. Yes, please, sir.
Okay.
To us. Sorry about that.
No problem. Because bear with us a little bit longer. On one has survived with this pandemic more than us or quarantine. So
okay. Down the by Ekenemun.
I know Dalo no.
Down. Mgbe ọbụla ụmụnne gbakọ ịkpa ife ọ dị oke mkpa na onye nwe oge ga-ege ntị maka na mbe si na ekwe kụba si gbata na ekwu n'ejebe ya luo ihe soro edozi ihe soro mebiri emebi. Mụ bụ Akụjieze, Professor of Physics at Chicago. Mụ bụkwa member of Ekwenche Research Organization. Ekwenche Research Organization came to be in about 25 years ago under the leadership of Dr. Okechukwu Ikejian. He brought us together and he gave us a marching order. And since then, we have been on the beat. Adamama, if I name tata, ebidorofu. Ije na the archives, iga afu ife Ekwenche dego makia. De okwande bai mgbe a na-ekwu okwu oputa panel. Ọ bụ Ekwenche submit a lot to now our brother Nwan Ikog, Dr. Ato Nwankwo. So anyị fiakana anya wee deify wee gwakwa ndị be anyị na agwọ nọkwa n'akịrịka, even as far back as then. Unu maara ife na akpọ ya n'oputa panel ọbịa, ọ jụkwa na ya bịara, o kwukwa na ife ọbụla ga-eme mgbe anwa mee tata na ya emekwa ya ọzọ. My brother bụ a writer, Okocha, Emmanuel Okocha, Munia, okay, a lot of things. Maka nwoke anafachi. But one kwa ndị be anyị na nwoke a language ye oji abụrụkwa language ezi edozi ife. Okay, nke anwa ga. Okay, akpọkwa another meeting maka idozi Nigeria. Ndị Igbo bụ ndị udo jekwa ego. Ndị ugwu jụkwa n'ife niile akpakọta. Anyị wọnụkwa people then na nekwa ebe ife a na-aga. Na ndị a ga-anakwa ya ana. Na ndị a na-akwado ibe anyị na ya ana. Onye pụta okwu nke, onye pụta okwu nke. What we do as an organization, we're looking at the political scene, the social ramifications, and make a deliberate trend. It's complex. I am ndị be anyị ata onye ka mgba mbọ wedding or patient. Una anugo from the barrenness. Una anugo from see your issue. They are not even talking about Iwelana in the buy. They are not even talking about change our political structure, our spiritual value. Igbo society, Adamama, with the oldest society in this world, as confirmed in the studies of the Apro group L1. Our tribe will go for thousands of years. Anyị nwe omenala ọdịnala na ewu bata n'ugbo gị na ewu nwa gana na mmadụ trespass ya your destiny. Igbuo ya onye ma uropu ji gị igbuo ya because no one threatening your survival with your family. The laws they there. Anyị abụrụ a new society. The Igbo society is an old society that has structured itself on days and months and forever. We are not a society to be. Even a man and Igbo, ndị ga-amara Igbo na-apụta si na fa na-represent Igbo. Ọ bụrụ na fa maka Igbo, fa ga-ama na Igbo abịara ụwa ofu. Our ancient forefathers bụ ndị nye n'ụwa nwee ike accommodate people. Ọkwa ọfọ ka iji aga, iri ka mbiri abụọkwa ji ife. Onye na-akwa na nke na mmanya na-arọ nke ọkwụ ya ka Igbo gọba ọfọ ndị gọba ọjị onye
systematically begin to happen is that Ndi will need to practicalize these things that we talk about, itemize them, and find organizations and bodies or agencies that we can begin to liaise with to get the practical results that we need. We have talked enough. Now, in terms of security, Chief Nyanwodo did emphasize something, but I want to differ slightly because in our in the past weeks and months, we've been engaged on the ground to look at the security impact. Our children are being killed, our women being raped, and the question we asked ourselves, how can we get directly to the people involved? Remember that the federal government asked us to return our guns. They gave us only permission for us to have only 10 guns from the vigilantes. Now the vigilantes, they've given us a list of the Igbo board of the Association of Igbo President Generals. They've given us a list of things they want that they will need to first of all safeguard. That's that they will need to safeguard our nation. So the Association of DGs are the closest to the communities that we need to start working with. So on behalf of Igbo Board of Deputies, what we are trying to do now is to map all of them into a digital age where we can send message to all the EPGs in Igbo land and the heads of all the vigilante groups, so they can get it in real time, factor for them to know that an attack on one community is taking place and they can then rush to the communities. And what we are trying to do is that the whole 7 states of Igbo land will be, all the communities within Igbo land have been requested to make sure that their DGs are registered with the Association of Igbo President Generals so that we can begin to talk sing from one hymn. The problem is that we talk too much. We are not coordinated in our efforts. We are all doing the same thing in different forms. And at the end of the day, nobody is taking us serious because we do not provide a uniform, we do not present a unified system or asking from the government. When we approached the British government, remember what they told us? They said, what is your asking? And we want to say, these are the things, these are the problems, and these are our askings. And then we will then begin to go through lobbying to make sure that we get these askings ratified or responded to. But at the rate we are going, we are talking within ourselves so much. So we need to take a little step outside and begin to talk globally. Secondly, we identified that the Igbo communities, we do not have enough media presence internationally. How we cannot expect other people to tell our stories. We have to tell our stories. So Igbo sons and daughters need to begin to invest in the area of media technology and having their own online newspapers and online magazines and what you have, so that we can tell our own stories. Those who can have representative radio stations can begin to do that so that the world can hear our voices. As it is now, everybody in Africa is listening to the voice of the Yorubas who dominate the entire media industry in Nigeria. Thirdly, we are looking at a situation where lobbying in UK will be sanitized. All of us need to come together to find a way that we have one representative body speaking to the UK government and not multiplicity of organizations trying to do the same thing and representing different opinions. Having done that, we need to begin then to say, how do we encourage the Akuruno philosophy, which everybody has talked about? We must develop our regional base. But in the first instance is this security challenge that we're facing. We have mapped 321 settlements of the Fulanis. What do we then need to do? We have identified them. We need to contain them. We need to be able to do search and rescue. We need to be able to do an analysis of their movement, know where they are going to. This will take great effort on the part of our young men and women in the villages to track them and know their movement. We can use digital or we can use our normal old traditional ways of doing things to make sure that we know who is in our community, where they are going, and this will take us being interactively engaged in our respective villages. So the challenge that we face first is to make sure that we contain the security challenge that we have in our Igbo. And we are saying that using the Igbo Board of Deputies will be the best way, while your organization is doing what we need to do in terms of international lobbying and engagement globally. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mazio Koli. Thank you for that awesome contribution. We will be coming back to you. And I think I just have one more speaker before I can hand over to my to my co-host. I know again this is somebody who has been here right from the beginning. Chief Udirika, are you still in the house?
She's gone. She's gone.
Okay. All right. So we send her apologies. She actually was here even before the event started. Okay. Honorable Enti, do you want to take over and just finish? Because I think those people have been addressed. Thank you so much. Sorry about that, everyone.
Are you leaving yet, Councillor Gloria?
I know.
Okay, good. Right. So, quickly again, you said Chief Ndrika is not here. Mazio Biokoli has spoken. Dr. Ngozi Bona Erondo, she's still here. I understand she's a special advisor to the state governor. Can give her a minute or two.
Is there in the house?
Dr. Ngozi Bona Erondo. Okay. Maybe this is the time to give one of our young ones 10 minutes. Just like I was saying, the youths are also part of this core plan, and the ICSN is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, pan-Igbo group in the UK. So if I could call on Chimi or Emeka, one of you.
Yeah. Hello?
Hello. Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chimzulume Zibo.
Lucky to see your face, then.
Can you see it? Can you see? All right, okay. Good. Right. Yeah, so, no, thank you, Auntie Kate. Thank you, Auntie Kate, for inviting us to this gathering. I think where I'll be coming from, I'd just like to, first of all, say thank you to, the MPs and councillors putting this together, and also recognizing my leader, Oluchi Opara, the president of ICSN. Now, there seems to be a general apathy and aloofness to what is happening amongst the Igbo youth. A lot of us are not even aware that we are facing an existential threat. And I think this is where the Igbo MPs and councillors come in and kind of take us under your wings, all right, and groom us and teach us and let us know that there is such a thing happening. And then we can then begin to find out how we can use our vast, skills as young professionals to support, whether we're in IT, finance, or what have you, to support the efforts being made. But the most important thing, before we start talking about economic emancipation, is that we have to live. We have to live. There's an existential threat. People are being killed. Women are being raped. There was the Ruger issue that happened earlier. We knew this was going to happen when people were killed in one in the state. And nothing was really done then. But better late than never. We're doing something now. But let us not forget the role that the youth have to play. We have a lot of young and intelligent people. A lot of them are gathered here today. So many of them, we have 4 previous presidents of ICSN who have literally joined this call. Emeka, Igbo, Emeka, Ugbolu, Charles Emeka, Ezim is on the call. And we really want to get involved. We really want to help. So I guess my call is, I know that Cassandra is also on this call. Is it the leadership of, the Igbo councillor and MPs can reach out to her so that we can then have perhaps a Zoom call with the wider body and yourselves, wider body of ICSN and yourselves, and you can speak to us and let us know exactly what is happening. We need to be educated. I mean, I know what's going on to come to aggregate. We need to be educated to know that there is something happening. Otherwise, all these efforts we're making in the diaspora would amount to nothing if we can never actually go home because of the fear of Fulani Herdsmen and what have you. Sure. But I think these are the points I really want to make. I just want us, the organizers, to speak to ICSN as a wider body. If you can reach out to Cassandra, and then I'll just hand back over to the moderator. Perhaps if you can give Emeka Ugwuanu a chance, I know he has a word or two to say.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Shinzi. That was great. And we've actually taken the work out of the mouth of my coordinator general. So she's been raving and talking about, even organizing another youth conference. I think that's the second conference we're going to do. It will be about a youth conference and how do we engage the youths into this battle of survival. You lot are bloggers, Facebookers, YouTubers, TikTok. There's so much youth can do today that some of us won't even dream of. So yes, we would need you guys on board. Emeka, if I just give you 2 brief minutes, please, because lots of people need to speak to recognize you. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay, ndị Igbo ekene m unu. Afọ m bụ Emeka Ugwuanu, nke onye Chinye azalụ unu. Just as Chimi said, it's all centered around education. But one of the points that I wanted to highlight, especially with having a lot of members of ICSN in this school and recognizing our current president in the call as well, is that in 2016, I remember one of the attacks that happened in Enugu, and at the time I was part of the team within ICSN. So one of our responses and looking around and trying to find some guidance from our elders and not knowing what is going on, because everybody was singing from different hymn sheets, like Mazi Obiokoli mentioned. But at the time, we felt like we needed to do something. And so the action that we took in that period was to write every single MP a letter. We sent 650 letters as a lobby group in ICSN at that time to make them aware of the current situation that was critical at that time. And I remember Boris Johnson was the foreign secretary at that time, and then he was one of the ones that actually responded back to us, because we didn't know how powerful our voices were until we started getting responses back from the MPs, and who were showing some empathy towards the struggle and our concerns as young Igbos in the diaspora, trying to find a way to help our brothers and sisters back at home. And so without going too much into detail, one of the things that I wanted to leave here is there are so many elders in this school right now, but I would ask you, going back to your own families, to your own children, to your own grandchildren, to your nieces, your nephews, how many of them directly who are in your control know exactly what's happening? Because we need to start from there, because we all know what the issue is. We all know what the problems are. That's why we're coming together trying to find solutions. Part of that solution is educating our children, and that starts with the ones that are directly within your control, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, and educating them. We're now in the spirit, since this whole thing of Black awareness, in the spirit of everybody wants to learn more about Africa, about culture, about race. And so this is a time to enhance that thirst for knowledge. And no better place than having your parents who can give you the direct knowledge. Some people have to go and read books because they can't trace where they're from. But we have direct lineage and knowledge and history in your house, and so it's important that we are able to share those stories so they can feel connected. Because even if you tell them about Fulani Herdsmen, some of them, they don't feel that connection because they're not connected through the language, they're not connected through knowing the stories of our people. So I feel like it's important that education is taken into consideration as immediately within what we're talking about in terms of security. One of my biggest concerns, like my colleague Kim said, is the immediate security of our brothers and sisters back at home. Is how can we intervene now while we're still working on the long-term solutions?
We need you. Thank you so much for that contribution. We definitely need you. If we leave out our youth, we have no future. So we will be coming back definitely here. But before I call on our yes, thank you very much for our youth. Thank you so much, and so much wisdom in your words. Before I will actually call on our last councillor, last but not least councillor, come and close and give the vote of thanks, I would like to call on our Mayor, Mayor Ernest. I know you've been patiently waiting just to obviously to greet your audience. This is our home. We have guests. Please, if you could just take 1 or 2 minutes to greet the audience, that would be very much appreciated.
Daalụ na m ekene ndị councilors na MPs chịkọrọ ọgbakọ mgbede a. Look, from assessment so far, it's quite successful. And ibe anyị chọrọ ka ọ bụrụ. Mụ awụ Councilor Ezeaju, awụ councillor na London Borough of Brent. I'm mayor of Brent, a scientist by profession. And but again, I'm the chairman of ABGA UK, so I've contributed both politics in Nigeria and here. My mentoring actually, first of all, I condemn the killing of Igbos and other citizens of Nigeria by the Herdsmen and the Islamic sects. So that's the major thing today. The solution. Most of our speakers niggle solutions and the problems, especially I think Obiokul captured it all. So it's a question of bringing all these people together to work together and deliver on all these big ideas. Another interesting one is Ezugal. Ezugal seems to know all these organizations. It's now time to bring the ideas from Obiokul. But I think we've got the problems, we've even got the solution. It's a question of bringing it together to deliver on it. I'm on 1 minute. But I think we can do it if we put our resources together. They were in the bank.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maya. Well done. Thank you. Well done. Councilor, please, over to you.
Gloria, thank you, Councilor Gloria. I think I had Engineer Humphrey Chinanyeze. His name wasn't on the original guest list. He's is he there? Engineer Chinanyeze is the president of MPS, the community here in the UK, and they have had issues of parliament in the recent months. So he might have 1 or 2 insights to talk about. Chinanyeze, are you still in the room?
Hello, Mayor. Mama.
No.
Oh,
no.
Well done, and thank you for this great initiative. It's long overdue. We've quite done a lot among our communities, various communities, but it's the time that we need a political arm that can reach the government, especially coming from our councillors and mayors who are close to the government and know what we're dealing with. The problem that we are facing in Nigeria, we all know that it's not the Fulanis or the Hausas. Let alone between us and them, we can deal with that. It's just because I the hacker hobby and I am running hacker one hobby. Oh, but I know notwithstanding, everything as we all know it has to do with what is there for you, both for individuals, vested interests, government. Everyone is looking for what is there for them. So that is the area I reckon we should be looking into. And in other words, again, what our fathers like Nyawood, many of the others that have spoken, they have nailed it in the head. What we need to do more is we need to form alliances and partnerships. It's very, very essential. We cannot do anything or win anything without these alliances and partnerships. Maybe first starting from among ourselves, our various organizations and communities, instead of continuing to duplicate and duplicate, why don't we come together and form the alliances and partnership, which we can then move on to other organizations where and government bodies where we can form such alliances and partnerships in order to bring out what our problem is to the world, and then they can help us to achieve our problem. Without more ado, let me not waste time. That is where I'm pointing out. And thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you. Well done, everybody.
Thank you very much, Engineer Chinez. Thank you. Honorable Uchoka from the Anambra State House of Akania. Honorable Uchoka, do we still have him?
I think maybe they could speak to us another time. We have a lot of events to come. This is just our first one.
I'm calling quickly the ones on the list. Honorable Emeka Afoka, is he here? Okay. Ambassador Uche Ebel. Okay. I heard the current director of ITSN is also here. Would she want to speak? Just 1 minute or two. I think that
I think what I'm going to do is give a vote of thanks, if you don't mind, because I'm conscious we've run over by an hour, and we will have more time. Is that okay? Before I start, I want to apologize to everyone that hasn't been able to speak today, but also we are conscious that we're taking your time. The greatest gift that can ever have is to have people listen to us because they have time. And so for that reason, we are very grateful to everyone here today. My name is Nneka Keys, and I'm the coordinator of this group Igbo Councilors and MP in UK. I want to personally, and on behalf of the organizers, the entire group, thank everyone who has attended this conference today, everyone who has participated, and everyone who has supported by giving us their listening ear. We are most grateful. We are grateful that we had in our presence Chief Nwodo, who was our keynote speaker. We had the Baroness Kos, who also has visited Nigeria several times and who has offered to actually start working with us as soon as tomorrow. We also recognize that we had the Right Honorable Fayal Clark, MP for Enfield North, that was in our midst, unfortunately could not speak. Several councillors, Igbo councillors, who I'm proud have come together to bring this event for you. We also had lots of chiefs, and I do recognize you all, Ndins, and also members of ICSN. I'm so proud that you could come to honor this invitation because we look forward to working with you in partnership. Don't worry if you haven't spoken. Our next event is your event, and you will have lots of time to be involved right through from planning to executing the conference. I want to especially thank Lady Queen Nze Ibeto Odibezenanka Ugonwan, Lady D, AJ Ofia, Pastor Oma, all our special guest speakers, Mankini Pastor Nike, Major Ike Chukwu in Enfield, and all of our distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We had over 60 people in attendance. If I carry on calling the names, I'm not going to finish, but I will send you a thanks message for coming up to this event. The topic we had today is one that is very dear to all our hearts, especially we see it from the attendance today. We are passionate about it, and we all want to tackle the killing of the Igbo people by Fulani Herdsmen. And so today we have started a partnership, and we will execute this work that we started today. We had lots of issues raised. We also had lots of suggestions being made for solutions. We will take forward as a political lobby group to make sure that the voice of our Igbo people are heard, not just at our homeland, but internationally. So we will keep you updated with the outcome of this event, and we will be issuing a press release confirming our progress. We'll use this opportunity to inform you that our next conference will be to focus on our young people. So Chimi, you're right. Our youth are our leader of tomorrow, and we'll be setting out a date for our next conference where we'll offer plans for an Igbo cultural school with Igbo language classes. And we know that the ICSN have already pioneered in some of these activities. So you'll be coming on board to work with us. But also we'll be mentoring and will be coaching young people, and indeed any Black person, an elderly or older person on this forum tonight that isn't involved politically in diaspora in the United Kingdom. We want to ask you to come on board. We want to become your mentor. There is no reason why we should not have more Igbo elected councillors in the United Kingdom. And indeed, we could have members of parliament. I'm not sure we know that we also have an Igbo Baroness of Asaba and homeland.